Morning dew glistens on cracked concrete beneath the shadow of an overpass, where life and survival whisper quietly in the same breath. Darius Cole, a black man, sits against the faded brick of a closed storefront, his coat frayed but buttoned neatly, as though holding on to a ritual of dignity. Across the street, Officer Ryan Mallory leans against his patrol car, sipping coffee and watching the man as if gauging what kind of story to write with his authority today. The call crackles through his radio. Possible loitering. It's always that word. Loitering. A word that strips presence of purpose. Ryan laughs under his breath as he approaches, hand resting on his belt, tone already sharp with assumption. Darius rises slowly, eyes calm but weary, voice steady. "I'm not causing trouble." The officer's smirk grows, a mask of control hiding something hollow. When Ryan cuffs Darius, the old wallet slips from Darius's pocket and falls open on the sidewalk. Inside, a photo Darius in a classroom surrounded by smiling students. A laminated military ID glints beneath it. The laughter stops. The air stills. Ryan's hand trembles slightly, and in that frozen second, power and shame trade places. The silence after laughter feels heavier than any insult. Ryan stands rigid, his authority suddenly fragile. Darius does not speak. He doesn't need to. His wallet, his past, and his dignity speak louder than words. Around them, morning life resumes. Vendors setting up stalls, commuters passing by unaware that a small truth has just altered the air. Ryan bends down, picks up the wallet, and his eyes linger on the photo. A younger Darius smiling beside children, his arm draped with pride. The police radio crackles again, demanding action. But Ryan's hands hesitate, the cuff key trembling slightly between his fingers. Shame is quiet, almost tender. When it first arrives, when Sergeant Alvarez arrives, he reads the scene instantly. Cuffs, silence, a wallet open like evidence of humanity. She looks from Ryan to Darius, then back, sensing the unspoken weight. Her voice is steady, almost motherly. "What's this, Mallory?" He doesn't answer. Darius remains composed, the faintest trace of a smile at the edge of his mouth, not mocking, but knowing. Alvarez orders the cuffs removed. Ryan obeys, mechanical. As the metal loosens, Darius rubs his wrists lightly, never breaking eye contact. In that gesture, respect is returned, not as forgiveness, but as choice. Ryan finishes his report later that morning, but cannot write the words. The cursor blinks, waiting for justification that no longer feels clean. Outside the precinct window, the city moves like a current he is no longer sure he belongs to. He closes his laptop and stares at his reflection in the dark screen, his own eyes looking back with quiet accusation. Somewhere inside that silence, a seed of reckoning begins to grow. That night, under the hum of passing trains, Darius sits again beneath the same overpass. The cuffs are gone, but the weight remains. He looks at his wallet. The photo, the ID, then slips them back into his pocket with care, as if sealing a promise. Above him, the streetlight flickers, illuminating his calm face for a moment before fading again. "Still here?" he whispers to no one particular. The city answers only in echoes. Officer Ryan Mallory wakes before dawn, drenched in that uneasy half-light, where dreams still cling to the skin. The laughter he gave Darius yesterday replays in his mind like a looped radio static, warped and cruel. He sits on the edge of his bed, his uniform hanging nearby like a silent witness. His wife stirs but doesn't speak. She's grown used to the silence that follows his shifts. Outside, the sound of a train whistle cuts through the early morning, carrying the echo of something lost. Ryan rubs his eyes, staring at his reflection in the mirror, noticing the faint tremor in his hands. Shame doesn't announce itself. It seeps in, quiet as dawn, turning every small act of routine into confession. At the precinct, laughter returns, but not from him. His colleagues reenact the homeless professor's story like a joke passed around for sport. One of them imitates Darius's calm tone, another mimes picking up an invisible wallet. Ryan tries to laugh, but it catches in his throat. Sergeant Alvarez enters mid-story, her gaze slicing through the mockery. The room falls silent. "Anything funny about a man's life?" she says evenly. The silence burns. Ryan lowers his eyes, realizing for the first time that shame, when shared, is also a mirror. After shift, Ryan drives aimlessly through Atlanta's back streets, where glass towers fade into motels and forgotten bridges. He spots Darius again, sitting outside a shelter, speaking softly with a volunteer. Ryan doesn't stop. He pulls over across the street and just watches, headlights off. Darius laughs once, lightly, as if the world still holds humor for those willing to listen. Ryan grips the steering wheel. The sound of Darius' laughter, not mockery but peace, lands deeper than any reprimand. The past 24 hours have turned Ryan's authority into an ache he doesn't yet know how to name. Ryan can't sleep again. He searches Darius's name in the department system. One entry, public disturbance, no charges filed. The words feel hollow. He opens a private search and finds an old school newsletter photo. Darius standing at a chalkboard, surrounded by students. The caption reads, "Mr. Cole, inspiring minds through history." Ryan stares for minutes, tracing the curve of Darius's smile with his eyes. The truth presses down. He didn't just handcuff a man. He handcuffed a story that once shaped others. Somewhere in the precinct's cold hum, something inside him fractures, letting empathy in. Outside the precinct, night folds around the city like a heavy coat. Ryan stands by his patrol car, staring at the skyline. Towers piercing through low fog, blinking red and white. He breathes deeply. Phone in hand, thumb hovering over the contact he saved earlier. Darius Cole, Shelter South. He doesn't call. Not yet. Instead, he whispers a small apology into the empty air, unsure if it will reach the man who already forgave him with silence. The city doesn't answer, but the wind shifts softly, like acknowledgement. The city wakes slow, its light spilling like honey through the haze of morning traffic. Nia Thompson adjusts her camera strap and walks toward the shelter where Darius volunteers to sweep the front steps. She's heard whispers of him. The teacher turned wanderer, the vet who never complained. Her lens isn't searching for tragedy. It's searching for truth. When she meets Darius, he greets her with the same calm he gave the world the day before. His voice is measured, his words gentle. "You can film if you want," he says. "Just don't make me a lesson. I'm still living it." The way he stands, proud, centered, makes Nia lower her camera for a moment. Some stories, she realizes, deserve eye contact before exposure. Nia's voice fills the small studio later that night. As she edits, "He used to teach history." She narrates softly over footage of Darius sweeping. Now he lives among it, in the streets where tomorrow feels like a rumor. The footage cuts to an old yearbook photo she found online. Darius, smiling with a classroom of children, hope gleaming in his expression. She leans back, headphones on, and exhales. Behind her, the city hums through the window, the same city that let him fall. Her reflection merges with his image on the screen, as if two timelines have found each other in empathy. In a downtown diner, Ryan sits alone, scrolling through his phone. A news notification pops up. Local journalist spotlights unsheltered veteran turned educator. He taps the video. There's Darius on screen, voice steady, eyes kind. "People think losing your home means you've lost your worth," Darius says. "But you can lose everything and still keep your name." Ryan's throat tightens. The background chatter fades as the diner's neon lights flicker across his face. He watches the video twice. The badge in his pocket feels heavier each time. The next morning, Darius sits with Nia inside the shelter's cafeteria, sunlight filtering through dusty blinds. She asks him gently about his teaching days, his service his fall. He answers simply, "Bills don't wait for mercy. I taught history, but I couldn't teach my way out of debt." His smile carries no bitterness, only acceptance. Nia listens, notebook open, pen motionless. "If I tell your story," she asks, "what do you want people to learn?" Darius leans back, eyes distant but alive. That survival isn't failure. It's proof we're still here. The truth lands between them, weightless and heavy at once. That evening, Nia's story airs. Across Atlanta, televisions flicker with the image of Darius, calm, eloquent, refusing pity. Ryan watches from his patrol car, parked under the same overpass where they first met. On screen, Darius says, "Forgiveness isn't for them. It's for me." The sentence lands like a whisper against Ryan's chest. Outside, rain begins to fall. Slow, cleansing, reflective. For the first time, he doesn't reach for the wipers. He lets the water blur the world, softening the hard edges of everything he's ever known. Atlanta breathes differently at night. Slower, lower, as though holding its stories close. Ryan walks down Decatur Street in plain clothes, the faint hum of streetlights echoing overhead. No badge tonight, no weapon, just a small backpack with supplies he picked up from a volunteer center. His heart beats harder than it should for a man used to control. Every tent he passes glows with fragments of life, laughter, coughs, music from a small speaker. He sees Darius in the distance, distributing food at the edge of a shelter's lot. Ryan doesn't approach. He just watches. The man he once cuffed now offers bread to another. The irony feels holy. He turns away before Darius can see him, guilt and grace wrestling beneath the same breath. Inside the volunteer center, Ryan introduces himself as Matt. No one questions it. He spends the morning folding donated clothes, learning names: Terrence, Lena, Calvin. Each one a story that the system had reduced to a file. He sweats, smiles awkwardly, and listens more than he speaks. When Darius walks in with crates of canned goods, Ryan's chest tightens. Darius nods at him briefly, not recognizing him without the badge. Ryan nods back. For a moment, the roles invert. One serving, one learning. The city outside hums, unaware that a redemption story has begun in the quiet shuffle of human hands. Later that afternoon, Darius leads a small group in cleaning up a nearby park. Ryan joins quietly, picking up litter, glancing at him from time to time. The two men work side by side, unspoken tension pulsing between them. A child from the shelter runs by, laughing, and Darius smiles. The same unshakable smile Ryan saw in that photograph. "World's better when we clean it ourselves," Darius says. "Half to the group, half to the air." Ryan finally answers softly, "Guess we've all got things to clean." Darius looks at him, puzzled for a heartbeat, but says nothing. The line hangs there, part confession, part bridge. That evening, Nia reviews her footage again and notices Ryan's face in one of the volunteer clips. Zooming in, she recognizes him instantly. The same officer from the arrest video someone had filmed weeks earlier. Her heart pounds. Instead of exposing him, she hesitates. There's a story unfolding, not of disgrace, but of reckoning. She closes her laptop, whispering to herself, "Let it breathe." Outside her window, the city lights shimmer like 1,000 small confessions, flickering between shadow and grace. Rain drizzles over the city again. Ryan stands outside the shelter, loading boxes into a van beside Darius. They still haven't spoken beyond greetings, but something unspoken hums between them, a knowing without words. When the van door closes, Darius glances sideways. "You new here?" he asks casually. Ryan nods, voice low, trying to be useful. Darius smiles slightly. "Ain't that all we can do?" The camera lingers on both men, one seeking forgiveness, the other quietly granting it. The night feels lighter than it did before. The next morning begins with a brittle silence, the kind that follows heavy rain. Inside the shelter, volunteers shuffle between tables, setting out breakfast. Darius moves with ease among them, greeting each face with a nod. Ryan enters quietly, carrying a box of donated supplies, his pulse unsteady. Today he will tell the truth. He sets the box down, hesitates, then calls softly, "Darius." The name hangs in the air like a confession. Darius turns, recognition flashing across his eyes. Not shock, not anger. Just a calm understanding that burns deeper. "I remember you," he says evenly. The room goes still, the air thick with everything unsaid. They step outside into the alley behind the shelter, the city noise muffled by morning mist. Ryan starts to speak, but Darius raises a hand. "You don't owe me a speech," he says. "What's done is done." Ryan's voice breaks slightly. "But I laughed. I treated you like you were nothing." Darius studies him quietly. "And now you know what that feels like." The words aren't cruel. They're clean, stripped of venom. Ryan nods, swallowing hard. "I just wanted to help somehow." Darius looks away toward the street, then start by seeing people, not saving them. His tone lands like a sermon wrapped in mercy. Later they work side by side again, handing out meals to a line of people stretching down the block. Ryan feels the rhythm of service, the quiet dignity in each exchange. When one man thanks him, Ryan meets his eyes fully for the first time. There's no hierarchy here. No control, only recognition. Darius glances at him, noticing the shift, and for the first time offers a small nod. Forgiveness doesn't need words. It lives in action, repeated, steady, until the soul learns its new language. That afternoon, Nia visits the shelter with her camera, having heard whispers of the unlikely partnership. She spots Ryan and Darius working together and lowers her camera immediately. Some moments she knows are not meant for broadcasting. She walks over, offers a quiet smile, and says, "I came to film stories, but maybe this one's just meant to be lived." Darius chuckles. Ryan smiles back, tension finally dissolving. In the stillness between them, grace feels less like a miracle and more like a decision. As dusk falls, Ryan lingers outside the shelter while Darius locks up. "You ever miss teaching?" Ryan asks. Darius pauses, keys in hand. "Every day, but maybe I'm still teaching, just with a smaller classroom." Ryan laughs softly. The first genuine laugh in months. Darius looks at him, smile quiet but knowing. "We're both learning something," he says. Ryan nods, the streetlight glowing warm between them. Two men who began as symbols now stand simply as men, neither savior nor victim, just human beings finally learning how to see. The next week, Ryan stands before a room full of uniformed officers. The precinct hums with low conversation, the kind that tastes of cynicism and routine. He clears his throat and says, "We need to rethink how we treat the people we call cases. They're human beings." The room stills. One officer scoffs. Another shakes his head. Ryan continues anyway, voice steady now. "I've met one of them. I arrested him. I was wrong." His words fall heavy. Sergeant Alvarez watches from the back, her arms crossed, expression unreadable. For the first time, Ryan feels lighter. Not because he's forgiven, but because he's finally honest. Later that day, Ryan's locker sits half open. Inside, a folded piece of paper with two words, "Go soft." He knows who left it. He shuts the door quietly and exhales. Guilt had been heavy, but isolation feels heavier. Alvarez appears beside him. "You did the right thing," she says simply, "but it's gonna cost you." Ryan nods. "Then I'll pay it." She studies him a moment longer. "You used to just enforce the law," she says. "Now you're starting to understand justice." He doesn't smile, but his eyes do. That night, Nia edits her next story, Not about homelessness, but about humanity inside the badge. She overlays Ryan's speech at the precinct with Darius's words from weeks ago. Forgiveness isn't for them. It's for me. The two voices intertwine, creating something larger than both men. She sends the final cut to her editor, knowing it will stir reaction. In her quiet apartment, she leans back and exhales, her reflection in the window merging with the skyline. The city, it seems, is ready for its own reckoning. The story spreads quickly. On buses, in diners, in living rooms, the image of a cop and a homeless man serving meals together captures the city's imagination. Some call it propaganda. Others call it progress. Darius avoids the attention, continuing his quiet work. But when a young man at the shelter shows him the video saying, "You changed him," Darius simply smiles. "No," he replies. "We changed each other." Outside, church bells ring faintly in the distance, carried on the soft wind of a city rediscovering its pulse. Days later, Ryan is called into the captain's office. The reprimand is swift. Suspension pending review. He listens silently. No defense offered. As he leaves, Alvarez intercepts him in the hall. "They'll paint you as a problem," she warns. He nods. Maybe problems are what get people to listen. Outside, he steps into sunlight brighter than he remembers, air crisp with renewal. The weight of the badge is gone. But something greater has replaced it. Clarity. Months pass. The shelter has grown. New paint, new faces, the hum of community steady and alive. Darius now teaches a small class in the evenings, history lessons drawn on a whiteboard, beside a rack of folded blanks. His voice fills the room, gentle yet commanding. "We study the past," he says, "so we stop repeating it." Outside, dusk paints the windows in warm orange tones. The students, some residents, some volunteers, listen as though hearing truth for the first time. When class ends, Darius lingers by the board, hand tracing the word freedom. He smiles quietly. The teacher returned, the man restored. Ryan now works for a re-entry nonprofit, coordinating outreach programs for veterans and the unhoused. His days are long but lighter. No more sirens, no radio chatter, just the quiet rhythm of rebuilding. One morning, he opens a box of donated supplies and finds a child's drawing tucked inside a stick-figure policeman shaking hands with another man beside the word friends. He smiles, slipping the paper into his wallet where his badge used to rest. The drawing becomes his new oath, one written in crayons and true. Nia's latest article circulates online. The teacher and the officer. A lesson in humanity. She writes of both men without glamour, only honesty. Her words ripple through Atlanta like quiet thunder, challenging the city to remember itself. At a coffee shop, strangers read her story in silence. One wipes away a tear. Another nods. Nia watches from a corner seat, camera resting beside her, knowing her work has done what she hoped turned pain into possibility. On a bright Saturday, a community event fills the park. Music, food, laughter. Darius stands near a mural unveiling, painted by local youth, two hands clasped, one dark, one light, surrounded by the words, "We belong." Ryan arrives, carrying supplies for the event. Their eyes meet through the crowd. No tension, only peace. Darius extends a hand. Ryan takes it. Around them, children run. Music swells. The world feels briefly right. Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened. It redefines what can happen next. Evening descends, and the park empties. Ryan and Darius sit on a bench overlooking the skyline. Two silhouettes against fading light. The city hums below them. Alive, imperfect, beautiful. "Funny thing," Darius says quietly. "How the worst moments can teach us the best lessons." Ryan nods. Guess that's history too. They share a small laugh, neither forced nor fragile. As the last light fades, they sit in silence. Not as cop and homeless man, not as symbols, but as two souls who met at the intersection of power and pain and chose grace instead. The screen fades to black. The sound of distant church bells lingers, not mourning, but renewal.